Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Arsenal, and this is your latest transfer news. A lot to get into today, as always. Believe it or not, even more reports that Arsenal are the favourites to sign Victor Osimhen. We'll be talking about that one. We'll be also covering the latest on Nico Williams, some new reports on him, the latest on Reiss Nelson. There's a couple of teams that are ready to make offers for him, and then finally, Sambi Lokonga. So let's get straight into it with the. Let's start with Victor Osimhen first. So this is the latest on him. According to the latest reports, Victor Osimhen has doubts on joining PSG. The Nigerian remains keen on a Premier League move. Arsenal are showing the strongest interest in the 25-year-old. So, again, just to point out something even before I go any further, I know there's some people who don't like the constant links and Arsenal getting linked to different players and all that. If you just want the done deals and everything, I'll just advise you, like, for your mental health, in terms of links, there's always going to be links, and you're going to hear a lot of stories about every other team and about Arsenal. So it's just better for you to just take a break and come back in July when the transfers are getting finalized. Because as of now, you're going to hear first bid, second bid, third bid is going to stress you out completely. So I'd advise you to take a break from the internet in terms of Arsenal news. But for Victor Osimhen, getting back to Victor Osimhen, PSG probably are not going to sign him for a couple of reasons. They don't have enough money to sign Osimhen, and PSG are one of those teams that should have enough money to sign players like Victor Osimhen, but the kind of money that Napoli are looking for is absolutely crazy. So they're not probably going to get him. And Victor Osimhen himself wants to join the Premier League. Now, if you look at the Premier League, if Man City didn't have Haaland, they probably get Osimhen. Liverpool, you'd say, but they already have players like Nunes, who they splashed a lot of money for recently. Same with United and Højlund. You could argue Chelsea would want him, but they've already wanted him. They're the ones who actually look like they were favorites to get him, but that one is done since they wanted to give Lukaku to them, and they didn't have an agreement. So the only team remaining that can get Osimhen is Arsenal, unless he decides to go to somewhere like, somewhere like Saudi Arabia or something. Napoli themselves have to sell Victor Osimhen to use that money to get other players. They say that, like, they literally have to sell Victor Osimhen to use that money to spend elsewhere. So it would be a quick deal if you can get it finalized, but the money is the problem. If Victor Osimhen was 70 million, I probably think we get him even by tomorrow. But the fact that they're asking for incredible money, or like absolutely astronomical money, we are going to have to be patient with it. You cannot get, because I hear people in the comments saying, I see people in the comments saying, well, have you not gotten it done yet? I don't think you can get a 100 million deal done within 3-4 days. It's going to carry over. It's definitely going to carry over. And it's not just Arsenal who carry it over. In fact, we got Declan Rice very early. Teams like Chelsea and Liverpool carried on with the Caicedo story until like the final week of after the Premier League had already started. So this kind of deals are not easy to do. And players like Osimhen, I'm very willing to wait for a couple of more weeks. If you're going to get it done, I'm very willing to do that. Now, in terms of money, the money that they want is more than 100 million, and there's good reasons for that. He led them to a Scudetto a couple of seasons ago. He's been scoring goals. Even in a bad season, he's still scoring goals. And on top of that, they did sign him from Lille for a lot of money. They didn't sign him for like 5 million, 10 million. It could have been more than 60 million. So they also want to make a profit on him. And I think since he moved from Lille to from Ligue 1 to Serie A, I think he's improved as a player even more. So they want to make some profit on him. And if they manage to sell Osimhen for more than 100 million, then they're able to buy 3 or 4 players for Antonio Conte there, maybe even including Lukaku. So I do understand why. they would want a lot of money for Victor Osimhen. Absolutely understand. He's a very good player. He's an international player. He's not yet even near his prime yet. There's obviously a couple of things that are wrong. We've talked about his attitude in the podcast 2 days ago with Kozi. We've talked about his injuries and all that, but in terms of a striker, if you just want someone to score goals, I'm sure Osimhen can get for you 20 plus goals in a season. So at the moment, Arsenal are still favorites to signing. Don't expect him to be signed tomorrow. We have to be patient with it. I'm not worried about Chelsea coming in for him. They already wanted him. The reason why there's no team that's coming for him right now is because of the money, and there's a reason. No one wants to pay that 100 million plus. So I don't think anyone will just pop up out of nowhere. The only worries for me were actually Real Madrid and PSG don't seem like they want him, and Real Madrid have already gotten Mbappe. So there's not too many others, unless Saudi Arabia come in and offer with 600,000 per week, then they can get him. So let's see how this one develops. I'm hoping you can get at least one of them, whichever we get. Earlier video today was about Gyökeres. Whichever we get, both are very strongly linked right now. There's reports coming from Italy, reports coming from Portugal saying that Arsenal are ready to make bids and offers, and they're favorites to sign them. There's not too many teams that want Gyökeres right now. There's not too many teams that want OSIMHEN right now. It's crazy. It's only the first week of the transfer window. That's what I'm saying. If you're not, if it annoys you, like the links and the deals and the deal clauses and all that, the deal clause and all that in terms of transfers and transfer news, I think it's just better for you to take a break and ignore the transfer news and wait for the done deals. That would be better for you, for your mental health, because it's been worse than this. Believe me. There's a time you're linked to Benzema for like 4 months and you never got him. It's always going to be a lot of stories in and around. So it's just about talking about them and having a conversation about them. Let's talk about Nico Williams next. What's the latest on him? According to reports on Nico Williams from Paul Ballers, Arsenal have Nico Williams on their wish list. Mikel Arteta sees him as one of his preferred options if Arsenal decide to go for a wide player this summer. He has a 55 million euro release clause, which is 46.5 million pounds. So again, we discussed Nico Williams earlier today. Incredible player in terms of a winger. He can play on both the left side, the right side. He plays left-right side for his club Bilbao. He plays on the left side for Spain. He looked very good in the last game for Spain against Italy. Not just any opponent, Italy, and he was voted man of the match in that game. So his numbers are his numbers are really good last season. Actually, I'd say incredible. 8 goals, 17 assists. That's 25 goal contributions. That's not easy to do. If you can get a player can get you 25 goal contributions on top of the 20 goal contributions that Havertz got, on top of the 20 plus that Saka got, on top of the assists and goals Odegaard can get, hoping for a better season from Martinelli. Like if you combine all those numbers, all of a sudden, and remember someone like a Trossard who had one of his best seasons as well. Like if you can combine all those numbers in this team, then you make yourself better. The question now for you guys, if you are told, okay, we're not going to sign a striker, but you're going to sign Xavi Simons as a number 10, and you're also going to sign Nico Williams. Would you be happy with that? Like to go without a striker for these two players? This is a good price for him. That's a really good price for him, for his age, for a player who's going to develop even more the next couple of seasons. A player who can play both wings. A player who's already an international, trickery, skill, pace on the wing. He can go past the defender. That's exactly what you look for someone to help out Saka. Like whenever Saka. Like I'm even more scared than most people when it comes to players like Saka and Partey. Like I'm usually like when you're 2-0 up, even if it's the 15th minute, I'm like, okay, take them off. I don't want them to get injured. But if you have players like Nico Williams, you can be like, okay, let's give Saka 60 minutes. If he's done incredibly well, you bring in Nico Williams. If he's kind of struggling a bit, you can also bring in Nico Williams, same kind of player. Bring in players like Fabio Vieira on that side, and I don't know, basically playing number 10s on the wings or playing a left wing on the right side. Not like for like doesn't really work. But if you bring in Nico Williams for Saka, my first winger option was Bakayoko. I think he would be cheaper. But Nico Williams, 100% I would take him from Bilbao for that kind of money. In fact, I actually think that could be a bargain. Like next season or 2 seasons from now, that could be 80, 90 million to sign Nico Williams. And watching him for Spain has been really good. And he's starting ahead of a lot of players. He's starting ahead of Jose Perez is starting ahead of all of the Spanish players, and is playing in the front three next to Morata and Yamal. So, and he's done well, man of the match against Italy. There's also this from the Athletic as well reported this. Arsenal and Chelsea both have Nico Williams on their wish list. Mikel Arteta sees him as one of his preferred options if Arsenal decide to go for a wide player this summer. Now, I do think we're going to get a wide player. I do think we're also going to get a striker. That is just my thought. I also think you're going to get a midfielder. Left back, I don't know. We've been linked to a lot of players. We could end up getting 4 players in all of those positions, but that will mean we'll have to sell players. I don't know if you're able to get 4 players, but if I was to say which ones I want a midfielder, I want a wing, and I want a striker. I don't really want a defender that much. If one becomes available, well and good. Which ones do I think Arteta will get, or we will get this transfer window? I think we could get a striker, a winger, and probably a midfield. I'd say that. So basically the same as I want. We could end up getting that. And also we're going to get a goalkeeper and stuff like that if Ramsdale leaves. But in terms of the name or the the levels of those players, I don't know. We could end up getting a 60 million winger and a 30 million striker. So in terms of that, I don't really know which kind of level we'll get in terms of budget and all that. But Nico Williams, we are definitely linked to him. Very, very good player. I don't think we'll get to see him the last game. I think Spain have already qualified, so he might be rested for the next game. But really quality player. And it could happen after the Euros. Someone like a Nico Williams, he can't get it done right now. Even if he already wants to join us, so you have to wait for Spain to go out. So that will take another couple of weeks. But in terms of leading the race and being up against Chelsea, Chelsea is always going to be everywhere. I'm not really worried about Chelsea. They always want everyone. Like at the time of recording, I've just seen they want another 4 players. So it's not just Arsenal who are linked to players. There's a lot of teams that are linked to players. But Nico Williams, that is the latest on him. Next up, let's talk about Reiss Nelson. Now, obviously, we know that there's several players who might end up leaving Arsenal this transfer window. There's Reiss Nelson, there's Smith Rowe, there's Partey, there's Jesus, there's Zinchenko, there's Nketiah. There's a lot of players who've been linked to different teams. But the ones that I'd say top 5 that could easily leave, I think Nelson would be in that top 5. Actually, top 3, I think, for him, I think he's definitely going to leave. He's already told the club that he's willing to look for greener pastures, I guess, or a place where he's going to play a lot. So according to reports, West Ham and Nottingham Forest have made contact with Arsenal over a potential deal for Reiss Nelson, sources have told Football Insider. But it is believed that Brighton are also interested. Arsenal value Nelson at between 25 to 30 million. So if we can get a bidding war for Reiss Nelson, that would be great, because West Ham want him, Nottingham want him, Brighton want him. I did hear Fulham a couple of days ago want him. There's a lot of teams that want Nelson. The usual worry for me is like someone like a Tierney when you're trying to sell him. There's not too many teams that usually say we want him, and with the injuries and stuff, you're probably going to keep him next season because there's no team that is going to come in for him. So players like Nelson, if there's teams that actually want to pay the money for them, that would be great. That would be welcome. I think for him, for his career, for his own sake, I think it's just time to leave. Personally, for me, I would even have been harsher, because for me, I wanted Nketiah and Nelson to leave in 2022, the transfer window in 2022, but they ended up staying. That had an impact in the last minute in a couple of games, and they were awarded a new contract. They stayed. I actually think Nelson would have left 2 seasons ago if he didn't get injured in that preseason, but he stayed on, and he gave me one of the great moments, like last year, that last minute goal, one of my favorite moments as an Arsenal fan. But for he's an Arsenal fan, all the best to him wherever he moves. But Arsenal are looking for 25 to 30 million. Not sure if you're going to get that. We have to wait and see whether we are going to get that kind of money. But listen, other teams like Chelsea want like 35 million, 40 million for Broja. Player who's always been injured the last 2 years. Let's hope we can get that money, even if it means add-ons, even if it means like 20 million, then 10 million in a couple of installments. I don't mind, as long as we get a total package of like 25 to 30 million. I'm absolutely happy with that. But it's great to see that all of those teams want him. Where would I go if I was him? West Ham already have Kudus and Bowen, so I wouldn't really be trying to go there. Nottingham as well already have like Hudson-Odoi and the Langen players like that. Brighton, Ansu Fati, I think, was on loan there. I'd be looking to go to a team like Brighton, teams that don't have too many wingers. Unless Kudus or someone leaves West Ham, then you can go there. But in terms of if he really wants playing time, if you go to West Ham, he could easily be on the bench again. That is the problem. But all the best to him wherever he ends up in. Let's see how that one goes. Another player who's definitely going to leave Arsenal is Albert Sambi Lokonga. But will he be leaving on a permanent deal or a loan deal? According to reports on Sambi Lokonga, Sevilla are negotiating with Arsenal to sign Sambi Lokonga on loan. That would be crazy, because we are trying to sell players. Now, we are not able to sell Kieran Tierney, obviously, because he's injured. That's already one out of the door. Now, Albert Sambi Lokonga, another one we could potentially sell. I mean, there's not too many teams that want to pay the money for him. I think you want 20 plus million for him as well. Sevilla are trying to get him, but on loan. Now, I don't see how this one benefits us. Do you guys agree? Do you think he should be going on loan? Let's give him another loan deal. Is there any of you that feels like there's still a chance for Lokonga at Arsenal? Because that is the only reason you can take him out on loan. If you feel like, listen, there's still an opportunity for him at Arsenal, that's the only way you can do that. The only other way you can do that is if there's not too many admirers in terms of paying the money for him, and that could be an issue. He's already gone out on loan to Crystal Palace, to Luton. Will we take him to another third loan spell? I don't know, because if you do that, then the value just keeps on drawing, especially if he goes to Sevilla and has a terrible season. I don't know. I think he did well at Crystal Palace. He did great at Luton, so I think his value has gone up. We can at least get the same money we got him for. But if you send him out on loan and then, the contract is continuing to expire, and if he drops in terms of levels, you're in trouble and you're going to have to like keep him or lose him on a free. I did say when you got to Tavares and Lokonga, I did say that, listen, the good thing with signing these younger players, if it doesn't work out, you can always sell them. It hasn't worked out. We can now get rid of them in terms of getting the money, and can actually sell them, because when you sign players like William, you're not going to really sell them because they're already 32, 33 years of age. There's nothing that is going to come in for him with the bid. So Albert Sambi Lokonga looks like he's going to leave for sure, and there's a lot to talk about. We'll cover that in the podcast in terms of the youngsters about to leave us. So you're also going to cover our situation in terms of the left back and all that, more on OSIMHEN. But let me know what you make about what you've talked about in this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.